Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Jared?
How's it going?
I decided not to sing today
Why not?
because the music
Why
is just
not?
so good. I couldn't sing over it. So just let it
You
play.
you couldn't taint it?
No, yeah, I didn't want to wreck it. So I just decided to play my record. So hi
Oh,
everybody.
well, I love it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'll just kind of keep it playing in the background here a little bit. Turn it down. So I always have this problem where my phone is too high or too low. I can't really get a good, yeah. Need to find a better desk. But anyways, how's everybody doing?
You should see them.
Here. How's that? Can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me,
I
Jay?
hear you.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
hear you. Yeah,
Well,
for
I
sure.
hear you. That's all that matters. So I
Well,
see,
I mean, I want everybody else to be able to hear too.
yeah,
But
for sure. Totally. So I see we've got Jim. I see Tabby for kids. How are you? Gold Star. Elmer is in. We Beller says Pete's Dragon brings back memories. Cool. Jay Craig is a huge Pete's Dragon fan. Lots of Pete's Dragon. Tabby says the stuffed animals bring back memories. I can still smell the newness. Yeah. I love my little Elliot guy. I found Elliot at a Disney store, and
oh wow,
I just grabbed him. He was like the last one left, and it was just awesome that I have a little live action stuffed animal. You know, well, he's animated, but in a live action film.
I will say I'm a little jealous of that. Uh, there is a disclaimer. I'm actually not at my house tonight, so I just brought stuff that I could quickly find. So I do have some more stuff at home. I don't have it all.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's right. Because you're house sitting this week.
I am, yeah.
That's cool. Well,
But I still think I have enough.
so let's see. How do we want to start this off? I just got back from teaching class, and I gave a test today, and all my students walked out just, shouting my name to the heavens in disgust.
Why did you have to smack their hands with a ruler because they lied?
Yep, I gave them the knuckle cruncher. Oh boy. Yep, and then I brought out the one of them that wasn't enough, so I had to bring out the whooper pooper. What do they call it? The ruler?
The whooper pooper. Yep,
I
that's what it
can't
is.
remember. Okay. So lots of activity in the chat, and like we've got nearly 20 folks here. This is great. Party Pete
I
is
love
in.
it.
Yeah, he texted me earlier. Yeah, he says this movie makes me cry. Other people, well, we're gonna talk about crying. We'll see. Maybe I won't cry. We'll see how it goes. Chris is here. Yep, Chris joined in.
Hey, Chris.
And every Disney flick is in. Okay, that's good. So before we talk Pete's Dragon, lots of great news. D23 Expo. Do you have any favorite D23 Expo moment?
Actually, I just found out literally maybe 30 seconds before that Zorro is coming to Disney Plus.
Yeah, I heard that too. Now, is that the live action original, or is it the...
Yeah, I mean, I didn't delve into it, but what I think it is the series, the
So
original.
the Guy Williams and
Yep.
Gene Sheldon and Sergeant Garcia, Henry Calvin, that one.
Yep. So
Okay.
I'm pretty excited about that because they haven't added any of this older stuff in a while. So hopefully everybody needs to watch it if that's truly the case, so that there's a demand
Yeah.
for more of that kind of stuff.
Well, this would be the first old thing or Walt era content they've added since The Happiest Millionaire, which was like over 2 years ago.
which is pretty unacceptable.
Yeah. And so my D23 Expo highlight is exactly the same as yours, which didn't happen at the Expo because
Really?
who wants to talk about Walt era programming at the Expo? except for those panels that are like hidden in the deep recesses of the Anaheim Convention Center, like the ones that the archives do, and Marty Sklar and all those folks that mean so much to vintage Disney fans. You won't see
For
those in
sure.
B23 Hall with the Marvel Star Wars parks panel stuff, but
It's very true.
yeah.
Although, I will say one other thing that I am excited to see, and we'll see if they mess it up like they did in 2003 or if they fixed it, but I am actually excited for the new Haunted Mansion movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. So am I. Yeah, there were some positive things to come out of the expo for us legacy fans, like Jay Craig says. That's actually what we're called, you know. Yeah.
Well, we
Like
have a voice.
yeah, they don't care about us, but that couldn't have been more evident than what the expo gave us. But I'm excited for. I don't really know what I'm excited for. The ghost host. No, not the ghost host. The Hatbox Ghost coming to Florida. Yeah.
I guess, honestly, I didn't pay too much attention, and this might make me a bad Disney fan, but I went to Disneyland on Sunday, and honestly, I didn't even know the expo was going on until Saturday.
Oh, wow. Because I
Yeah.
asked you, right? I asked you, hey, are you going to the expo?
That's when I found out. Yep. So,
well, Chris and I
in my
watched,
defense, I've been busy for work. I've been busy with work in my defense. So,
Chris, who's in the chat, he and I, we called each other on Skype and watched the parks panel together, and were thoroughly depressed after it was over because there was like 30 minutes of like, okay, that's kind of cool, and then an hour of like blue sky stuff that might happen, like Miss Cater said, and there was really no definite additions coming other than just more of the concrete things they announced. But anyways, I mean, there was some cool stuff like San Francisco taking over the Pacific Wharf and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I like the Mandalorian, so Baby Yoda and Mandalorian walking around Galaxy's Edge will be cool. Yeah, well, we're not here to talk about the expo. We're here to talk about Pete's Dragon.
God.
Yeah. What we love
By the
most
way,
about
for
Disney,
the invite.
Right? The last our favorite thing about Disney are these awesome live action films, and today we're going to talk about Pete's Dragon. So take it away, Jared.
Is everybody Helen ready for this? That's my contribution and dad joke for today.
I'm hella ready. I mean, Helen ready.
I did go to Disney when I went to Disneyland.
We have reached the terminus of our joke telling.
I picked up this ornament when I went to Disneyland on Sunday.
Oh, cool!
So I'm excited to add Elliot to the tree.
All right. Well, let's start this off like we always do, and that's to show off our merch, our Pete's Dragon merch. What do you got?
Well, I think I have some of the stuff that you have, the record, the album. And then it's very precariously behind it, so I don't know if I'm going to move it, but I actually do have the storyteller, the one that you have to your right.
Okay, this one here, which I'm going to use to discuss the plot. So we'll literally get into this album. Yeah.
Exactly. And like I do every other time, I have the Laserdisc. It's a 2-disc Laserdisc.
A 2-disc Laserdisc. Well, because this movie's long. It's clocks in at
because
over
the
2
movie is
hours right
long.
now. Yeah.
And then because I'm a collector, of course, I have the VHS and the beta, but they came in 2 different packaging. So
You have 2 beta tapes with different clamshells.
yep, and 2 VHS. So,
Wow.
and this is the one I actually prefer. I actually love that. Like the cover of the album I absolutely adore it. I think it's fantastic. I have you remember the Storyteller like record albums, or they did cassettes as well? The See Hear
Yeah,
Read
they were
ones.
the
So I
see
have,
hear read version that they did. Yeah. Oh, you have that. Oh, you know what? I have that too. I didn't bring it out. It's back in my Disney room.
I love all this
Yeah,
artwork.
that's the same. Those are the same pictures in the Storyteller. Yeah. Do you
Which is
have a beta player?
fantastic.
People are asking if you do.
It's broken. Well, no,
Oh,
I had one. It's broken. And I'm so bummed. I actually went to a thrift store a couple of months ago, and they had one, and I did not pick it up. I'm an idiot, but it is what it is. I have a laser disc.
okay.
And then the
Chris
I
has
did
both of
pick up
those. He's
one of
got the
these.
Storyteller and the see hear read. Yeah.
Um, and then Disneyland actually released these popcorn buckets for the electrical parade this year,
That's
and
cool.
they light up as well.
I thought you said you
So they
didn't
had
bring
this
much
one.
merch from your house.
I didn't, because I have more stuff.
Wow, you
I
have more
have
than
more
this?
stuff. Oh yeah.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
of course, then my newest thing is the ornament. So huh.
So I've just got Elliot that you've all met. There he is. Hi.
It should stay like that the whole time.
He's just staring at us. I have an Elliot plush, Chris. A plush of Elliot. Yeah. He hates that word.
Plush.
Yep. So let me talk about this album. This is a cool album. You know, one thing interesting about this is that it wasn't released on Disneyland Records. It is a
Oh, it's Capitol, huh?
Capitol Records release, right? And if you remember, Capitol did a lot of 78 releases of live action films, like So Dear to My Heart. Some of those early films, like there's a Robin Hood Capitol release. And Chris could probably help me out, but I don't think there's been another LP release on the Capitol label for a Disney film or property. I believe Helen Reddy was an artist signed on with Capitol, so that's why they did it. But I could be wrong on that. What do you think?
I'm sorry. I was a little distracted by Chris's comment. How long have you been dragging those mementos around?
Jay Craig, this is funny. The worst song on that Pete's Dragon record was better than the best D23 Expo announcement. So true. Oh, okay. Popeye. Chris said Popeye was released on Capitol, which is kind of like was that a Touchstone film? So that
No,
sort of
it was Walt Disney.
or
It
Miramax.
was Walt Disney Productions and half
Okay.
Paramount.
Paramount.
Same with the Dragon
Okay.
Slayer.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that kind of counts, sort of. But a legit Walt Disney production film on Capitol. It's rare. So
Yeah.
yeah. Most were released on Disneyland, their own album label, or their premier label, Buena Vista Records. So yeah. So this is a cool album. You know, it's got little heads. The reverse has Miss Helen Reddy, and then this. We'll get into how much we love this scene. There's Shelley Winters right there, and then Lampy and Nora and Pete all happy. Okay, I'm gonna keep a count on how many times we confuse Pete and Elliot. Like we called the dragon Pete, There's Elliot.
Well, I shouldn't say I've never called it, but that might be a count for you. Look at how adorable Pete is. Or, oh my gosh, I just did it. Look at how adorable Elliot is on the back of that record. Look
There
at
you
that.
go. Yeah.
With his big gut.
Yep.
Adorable.
He's got a great belly for playing tic-tac-toe. And one thing cool about this, like this album has a really cool inner sleeve.
Yes.
So this is the sleeve that the record comes in. So you've got this really cool picture of Elliot atop the lighthouse blowing some fire. And then you have like Doc Terminus's sail wagon. And then again, this scene when before Nora takes Pete to school. And that's neat. And on the back, of course, you have the iconic song, like actually the song was nominated for best original song for
I think,
70.
Yep.
And there's Helen Reddy singing Lighthouse or Candle on the Water. So that's neat. Maybe I'll leave that up. And you've got the other things. So
Look at that. Beautiful.
yeah, even though it's a little wrinkly, because the album's like what, 49 years old or
45
years. Oh, it's the 45th anniversary. Wow.
It is. Yeah.
That's cool.
And The Rescuers is also 45th.
That was a 77 release as well?
77, yeah.
Okay. I'll put this one out since you've got. And then Elliot. He's going to just hang out there. There he is. So, so that's the merch. Let's get into the movie.
Some of the history of it, the basic history of it. Was interesting when I was looking it up because I didn't know that it was, I guess I figured it, but didn't know for sure that it was based on a short story called Pete's Dragon in the USA Forever After. And actually, Walt Disney purchased the rights in 1957, so 20 years before it was even released. And Kevin Corcoran was actually considered to play Pete because of how everybody loved him in Old Yeller in 57. But Walt Disney decided, you know what, I think this material is going to be better suited for the Disneyland TV series. Although he had a couple, like he couldn't figure out how to bring the story to the screen. So it kind of got shelved. I mean, they were going to start filming in 58, but they couldn't figure out, or they couldn't come together and was struggling on how to approach the film. And one of the reasons why I believe is because in the short story, Elliot is actually an imaginary dragon. And he's invisible.
Right.
Because he's imaginary, he's invisible. So how do you bring that to the screen? Well, there was an attempt at reviving the project in 68. And even an outline of a script was done, but it still wasn't sold until 75 when they were able to come up, they came up with the fact that it was a musical. There's the screenwriter, which is, and I apologize, I don't have this right offhand, the screenwriter Malcolm Mamerstein. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, Malcolm, I apologize. Call in.
That's right. Malcolm Mamerstein. I've got that written down somewhere.
Changed it to make Elliot real and to make him more visible throughout the screen. So instead of one scene where they were going to potentially animate him, he ended up being on screen for about 22 minutes, which is crazy to hear because when you think of Pete's Dragon, the first thing I think of, and I think the first thing most people think of, especially children, is Elliot, the visual of Elliot. So it did open to moderate success. It was about a $10 million budget, and it made about $18 million in its initial release. And like you said earlier, Candle in the Water was nominated for an Academy Award as well as the musical scoring. And Candle in the Water in 77, or maybe it was set like early 78. Anyway, it reached number 27 on the adult contemporary charts for Helen Reddy.
Wow.
Although when she sang it, it was a different, not a different version, but it wasn't the film version that made to 27, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it was directed by Dawn.
It was her single, the single release, like the soundtrack release. Yep.
Correct. And yeah, like MD Snotty says, it's a bummer that it opened around the same time as Star Wars, and that is one of the reasons why they think that it wasn't more successful than what it was. So I would agree with that. But who would have known? Like, who would have thought that something like Star Wars would be such a juggernaut? Up until that point, 2 years earlier, that's when they first started having like summer blockbusters with Jaws. So it was still kind of a new concept for these big, huge type movies. And it's also another bummer because, throughout the 70s, the Disney company was having hard times finding audiences for their live action films. And so, they have this Pete's Dragon one, which is very reminiscent of like Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Mary Poppins. So here's to hoping we're going to have this huge success, and then it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that it was just bad timing. I mean, it's not their fault though. I mean, who would have thought that little, Star Wars film would have done so well? And then I think another thing is, well, a lot of the critics, I mean, when you think about this film, it kind of comes at the tail end of all those musicals that were produced, not just by Disney, but other studios like MGM and I can't think of any others, but a lot of critics said that they were just kind of tired. The songs were like old vaudevillian songs that were just tired, and the genre was kind of running out of public interest. And then if you had to choose between going to see Pete's Dragon or Star Wars again, you probably went ahead and saw Star Wars. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's stories of people seeing that multiple times, 10, 20 times, because it was just amazing. But Pete's Dragon, it kind of, once VHS came online and DVD, of course, and then, Elliot and Pete were our mainstay in the Electrical Parade. It just kind of got a good fan following, and I think for the most part, it's still considered one of the best live action films in the repertoire as a whole. So
I would agree with that.
Today,
with
it's still widely loved. I mean, when I posted my Pete's Dragon post, just got a lot of response, and a lot of people just showering it with praise and loving the songs. And really, for me personally, the soundtrack is outstanding. So absolutely,
it had been a while since I had rewatched it, so I would agree. Like I sat down and to rewatch it, and all the songs are good. I mean, we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
If any issues that I have with the film, but all the songs really are fantastic.
Yeah, they're great. There's not a bad one in the bunch in my book. So, do you have? Let's see, who directed the film? Was it Jerome Cortland?
So,
producer?
No. Well, director was Don Chappie.
Okay. Yeah.
And he had directed some stuff in the 60s, a bunch of stuff in the 60s, some of it for the Disneyland, for the anthology, but he did like 3 Lives of Thomasina. It seems like he did a bunch of stuff from over on the other side of the pond. Greyfriars Bobby, The Prince and the Pauper, even like Ride a Wild Pony. Yeah, Greyfriars Bobby's so good. Actually, my mom just texted me the other day because I've kind of got her on old Disney films, and she goes, I watched this movie called The Greyfriars Bobby, and it was so good. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. It's a great movie. I love that.
an interesting, so, and then they also had an animation director. So it was an interesting story. Apparently, Don really wanted the animation director to also be included, basically same billing as him, but Disney
Mhm.
wouldn't do it because it was technically a live action film. But the animation director was Don Bluth,
Yeah.
and he was an uncredited animation director, which is bizarre to me. But because I didn't, and looking up Don Bluth, I guess I didn't realize how long he had been with Disney. I knew that he had done some stuff with Disney, but I always thought it was just basically the 70s. But did you know that he was an assistant animator on Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah. Yeah.
No clue.
I
And
mean,
Sword in the Stone.
right.
So, yeah, it was fantastic. And then some of the other fun ones that I liked from him were Escape to Witch Mountain, the titles sequence. He was the animator for. Um, and then he also directed the small one, which came out in '78, the year after
Hmm.
Pete's Dragon, which is nice. And then this is not Disney at all, but there will be a little bit of we'll circle back to it just a little bit. But he was also did the animated segment in the movie Xanadu, which is not a Disney film. Do you remember Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John?
I I know that she was in it, but I'd never seen it.
Basically, Greece started her career. I mean, in a nutshell, in a general nutshell, Greece started her career in film, and Xanadu ended it. But there was a little animated
Oh,
sequence, and
oh, okay.
there was an animated sequence, and Don Bluth did it. So we'll talk about Olivia Newton-John in just in a little bit. Um,
Oh, we will?
it,
Okay.
well, I'll bring it up as
Something I don't.
a fun fact. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Real quick, lots of great comments here. Uh, Party Pete mentioned that the boy in Small One, the person who did the voice, was Sean Marshall, who also played Pete. That's
oh
cool.
yes. Yep.
Sean Salchi said, Marvel fan, just curious when the X-Men will be added to the Disneyland park. Hopefully never. So, but they got plenty of Marvel. I don't even know. Anyways, yeah, that's my answer to that question. Sorry.
See, I love all of our Disney fans who watch this,
Hmm.
and I love how everybody loves different parts of it. But honestly, I did go to, like I said, I went to Disneyland on Sunday, and I went to California Adventure, and I was in the Adventures campus, and it felt like Universal Studios to me. It
Yeah,
didn't feel
it
like
has a very
Disney.
universal feel. Uh-huh. It was my first time in
So
Adventure Campus was like, it felt like I was at a Comic-Con.
yeah,
People were all dressed up and people would scream and yell, and didn't feel like Disneyland to me. It felt, yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I felt. But hey,
but we digress.
Marvel is huge and it's got a ton of support from the fans. So
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know if X-Men will ever be in the parks. I don't even know if I guess Disney owns that since it's Fox. I don't even
Well,
know.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Um, should I get into the cast, or do you have anything else to talk about?
Um, no, I mean, well, no, I'm good. I think we
Okay.
got some good stuff in there.
Yeah, because I don't really need to go over the cast because everybody in the comments, like Miss Skaters and Party Pete, they're all shouting it all out. Even MD Snotty. but I'll really quickly go over the cast here. Sean Marshall, of course, is Pete. And the only other Disney credit he has that I know about is the voice acting in the Small One, which I absolutely love. It's like one of
So
my
good.
favorite Christmas shorts ever. And Don Bluth did that, so like you said. Helen Reddy, of course, Nora. No other Disney credits for her, and that's kind of the theme with this cast. A lot of new faces. That's one thing about this film. It doesn't feel like a Disney family film. Like, you know, all these great Disney actors that we've come to know and love and feel like we're part of their family. But there's really not a lot of repeat acting going on here.
There isn't, but but I feel like they just blend in so well
Yeah.
yeah.
Because when I think of these actors out of context, I immediately go to, oh, they're a Disney actor. They did Pete's Dragon. Yeah, a very fresh cast, that Miss Cater says. Good comment there. Helen Reddy, of course, she's awesome. I mean, she pretty much started the second feminism movement. You know, if we're not talking about like the suffragist era, but the 70s era feminine movement. Won a Grammy Award for her 73 song, I Am Woman. And of course, got the Oscar nomination for Candle on the Water. Somebody already mentioned that Charlie Callis was Elliot's voice. And I had to look him up. He was known as the rubbery face guy. He could like contort his face and body into like all these crazy shapes. But apparently he was good at like going boo, 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 boo. So he got the job. Yeah, I guess that was the audition. So he threw that out there and won. And then, of course, Mickey Rooney. He's got a couple Disney credits besides being Lampy in this movie. He was the voice of the adult Todd in Fox and the Hound. And he did a couple of Wonderful World of Disney or Disney Sunday movies. And I was going to see if you knew these. Donovan's Kid. Have you heard
Donovan's Kid? Yes, I've seen it. Doesn't that have Donovan's Kid has, oh, I forget his name, but it's the father from A Christmas Story on it.
Oh, Darren McGavin.
Yes, Darren McGavin.
It was in No Deposit, No Return. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And also Little Spies. The Disney Sunday movie Little Spies was 86, I think. Donovan's Kid was 79.
I think Little Spies has like a little cast or a cast of kids, and I think one of them was Candace Cameron, who played DJ on Full House.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go. My last credit for Mickey Rooney he was an elderly small town resident in The Muppets. Do you remember that?
Yes, The Muppets from 2011.
The 2011 Muppets, yeah.
Yes.
So that counts.
Gosh, Mickey Rooney's so good on this. Someone, yeah, J. Craig 50 and Jim, what is it? Jim Bedicious?
Yeah, Jim.
I apologize.
Bedicus, yeah.
I agree. Mickey Rooney's fantastic.
Yeah. My favorite Mickey Rooney film is he did several films with Judy Garland, but Strike Up the Band is my favorite. The way he is. And if you ever have a chance to watch that movie or go on YouTube and look up The Conga, watch that video and you get a real good feeling of that energy that Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney had together. It's just amazing. The Conga.
It's little young Mickey Rooney.
Yeah, little young Mickey Rooney. He was in Phantom of the Megaplex. Okay, I didn't know that. All right.
Disney. That's a Disney Channel movie.
A couple people said that.
Phantom of the Megaplex. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. That's why we want you guys to chime in, because I didn't do an exhaustive list here, but it's always cool to learn. All right, next guy, Jim Dale. Okay. Oh, Chris met Mickey Rooney? Dude. Did he marry you? I'm sorry. He had like 7 wives.
Mickey Rooney.
That's awesome. Jim Dale, Dr. Terminus. Okay. So he's my favorite character in this movie. I'll tell you right now, just hands down, Jim Dale. I love this guy.
I would agree. I agree with you 100%.
He did another Disney film a year later, which he's even better in that. He played 3 roles in Hot Lead and Cold Feet. So you remember he was like Jasper, the
Yep.
preacher. He also played his brother, Wild Billy, who was his kind of rival. And
Well,
then
what do you expect? Jasper and then his brother's Wild Billy, and then Wild Billy's the bad.
yeah, no, wait, is Wild Billy the preacher? I got him mixed up.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
And then he also played their father, or is it their grandfather? I can't remember, but Eli Bloodshy. And his final Disney credit was Sir Mordred in The Unidentified Flying Oddball. Oh, there he goes. Elmer said that one right when he
Yeah.
typed it right when I said it. Because if you guys aren't a member of the Facebook group Generation X Disney fans, Elmer every day puts this like really cool little quiz where he like names a character, and you have to identify the actor that played the character and what movie, and maybe he'll have a couple bonus questions. It's super hard because he picks like these really hard characters.
So hard.
Yeah.
I've gotten 2 of them.
All right. Well, more on Jim Dale and his sidekick, Hoagie, played by Red Buttons. No Disney credits for him, but he was in this crazy movie called Gay Paris. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, it's an animated film, right?
Yeah, it was an animated film that came out, I want to say it was in the 60s, 62. But this cat, a ton of Disney folks did voices for this movie, like Rex Allen, Maury Amsterdam. Well, not really a Disney guy, but he was in The Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit. But the Mellowmen were in that as well. So Thurl Ravenscroft had a little singing part.
Oh, wow.
This is an interesting film. Like if you listen to my pal Chris and the Jiminy Crickets podcast, they do a podcast on the Aristocats, and there's kind of like this theory where the Aristocats was like had some copyright issues with Gay Paris, because it's a film about cats in Paris. Like Gay Purr, it's like purr, like Purrr, like Gay Paris. Robert Goulet, yeah, it was. The Poseidon Adventure. I had that somewhere. Oh, we're talking about Shelley. He's already way ahead of me, Party Pete. Shelley Winters. The next one.
I just got to see the Aristocats on the big screen, and it was so fun to see it on the big screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man. So Shelley Winters, Shelley Winters and Red Buttons were in Gay Paris. All right. I missed that. Okay. Well, Shelley Winters plays Lena Gogan. She was in Lolita. Lolita has a neat Disney connection because apparently Haley Mills was chosen by, was it Stanley Kubrick who did that one?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
And he wanted Haley Mills, but Walt Disney said, heck no. This was 1962. You're not going to ruin the Disney image of Haley Mills. If she was in that, we may have never had Summer Magic or the Moonspin.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. I was literally just going to say, if she had done it, we wouldn't have had Summer Magic.
Yeah.
See, that's why we're friends.
Yeah. And so thank goodness. I mean, Haley really wanted that role, but she signed that contract with Walt, and Walt was like, nope, no way.
Do you think that's why she didn't like Summer Magic?
Maybe. She's probably bitter. I know her mom didn't like Summer Magic after she read the screenplay.
Well, her mom doesn't have the best taste.
Wow. Look at that cool Disney connection by Chris. He says James Mason was in Captain Nemo, of course, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Starred with Shelley Winters in Lolita. And while we're on the James Mason click, and we talked about Judy Garland already, they were in a film together, A Star is Born. That's one of my favorite Judy Garland movies. But wow, we're getting way off. Couple other characters here. Jane Keene was Miss Taylor, the school teacher. Yep. She was very irregular in this movie.
Irregular.
And no Disney credits for her, but I did want to say that she was the voice of Belle in Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, because there's another character in this film who has a tie with Mr. Magoo, and that is the mayor of Passamaquoddy, Jim Backus, who, of course, was the voice of Mr. Magoo.
Which Disney made into a live action film in 1998, I believe, or 7.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Magoo.
I need to watch that.
It's terrible.
So Jim Backus, he had another Disney role. He played golf with Dean Higgins.
Wait, in Computer Wore Tennis Shoes?
Close. It's one of the Dexter Riley films. Yeah.
Wait, which one was it?
The one where he played golf. So think about Dean Higgins' caddy being able.
Oh, now you see him. Now you don't.
There you go. All right. So I guess that's it for the cast. He was the millionaire on Gilligan's Island, of course. Yeah, Thurston. Wow. I love how everybody knows these people. That just makes me so happy.
Well, if that's the case, what's the name of the actor? He was one of the sons, one of the Gauguin sons, and he played in Grease. And he played Kaneki in the movie Grease. I'm asking the people who are watching, because you'll know.
Yeah, they will know. Chris will know. Chris went as the millionaire for Gilligan's Island for Halloween once. We need to see pictures of that. I want to see pictures of that. I've never seen Grease, so I need to.
You've never seen Grease?
Nope.
Jeff Conway. Thank you, Elmer. Jeff Conway. He played Kaneki on Grease. And here, okay, so I'll bring this up as the Olivia Newton-John fun fact. Okay. So Olivia Newton-John actually was considered to play Nora. They asked her to play Nora, but she wasn't available. And I don't know for sure if she was filming Grease. Grease came out in 78 and this came out in 77. I absolutely love Olivia Newton-John. I was very sad to hear that she had passed recently, but I couldn't imagine seeing Olivia Newton-John in this film role. Helen Reddy was just perfect for it.
Yeah. Oh, she was going to be Nora? Okay.
She was going to play Nora.
For some reason, I had she was going to play Lena Gauguin. Okay. Okay. Well, right. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yes.
Helen Reddy, she had she was an outstanding singer. Her acting was a little kind of, I don't know, iffy. Wooden. Yeah. Good choice of words there. But she shared the screen well with Mickey Rooney and Jim Dale. And she also helped Sean Marshall with her lyrics, with his singing. I mean,
oh, really?
I'm reading Skipper Freddy says, "I'll be your huckleberry on the water." I know Skipper Freddy is a Jungle Cruise. He's a former Jungle Cruise skipper, and I bet he's probably used that joke in many of his cruises. Okay. What was I talking about?
You were talking about
Sean Marshall. He was okay. Sean Marshall in this movie, his acting was kind of dry as well, but it was nice because he wasn't like that typical, like over the top kind of like a cherub of an actor that you see in so many musicals, like young people. I'm thinking Oliver, right? Like these young kids, they just seem so fake. But
I get
Sean Marshall was
like, you mean like theater kids, kind of?
Yeah,
and this is no offense to theater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he wasn't your typical theater kid, your prototype, or your stereotypical theater kid. He was just really natural. He sang good. I mean, he was singing on key, but the duets he sang with Helen Reddy just kind of lifted him. Like everybody's saying he's like kind of a routine kid. So anyways, let's talk about the movie. Let's get into it. Yeah, a 70s kid. Yeah, that was Sean Marshall for sure. He had the hair for it. So here's the album we're going to kind of go through. So there's Pete with the Gogans, and this is a cool picture because this is not a scene you see in the movie, right? When the movie opens, he's like riding an invisible Elliot on a sound stage, and then that's when you meet the Gogans, who kind of just pop out of nowhere and start singing this song like In These Hills, which is crazy. And the hills they're singing of are in the state of Maine. Did you know this film takes place in Maine?
I did know that.
Right,
yes.
right there. The Gogans were the meanest folks in the whole state of Maine. And so basically Petey was their slave, I guess. Well, he was an orphan, and they quote unquote legally purchased Petey for $50 plus legal fees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
don't forget
Petey.
those legal fees.
Oh my gosh, Shelley Winters, when she says Petey with her teeth together, she just has this whole mean look about her. So Pete is pretty much sick of the Gogans because all he does is like work in their farm and does. So there's Elliot. And so the film opens with him trying to escape, and which he does successfully during this great song, In These Hills. You know, and that's kind of the recurring theme for these villain songs. Like my favorite songs in this movie, the villains sing them because they're so catchy.
Yeah.
And it starts with In These Hills. And after he escapes, you know, that we got this picture that I posted on Instagram today, which I got from this album. And we see Pete, you know, happy he got away from the Gogans, and him and Elliot are chomping on some apples, and he like warms up one for him. And if they had some cinnamon, that would be nice, huh? Well, hot cinnamon.
Well, no, this is a get to know Jared moment. I hate apple pie, and I hate anything warm apple with cinnamon.
Gosh.
It grosses me out. Yeah. So.
Now, what Chris says, now, why are y'all playing in the mud when you know we need to find that boy? There's some great lyrics in that. We'll get to some of those later when we talk about our favorite scenes. So then we've got Elliot and Pete. They're done eating their apples. They're walking around. They come across this town, Passamaquoddy, and Elliot's like, hey, maybe we'll find some nice people there, you know. But make sure you're invisible so you don't like destroy the town or anything. Well, Elliot tried his best, you know. He ended up knocking over the fence, walking through some cement. And then you've got, you know, the milk truck, and that gets all torn apart. And then you've got like the mayor. I love this scene where Jim Backus comes walking out of the town hall, I guess. And he's like, welcome, this is Passamaquoddy, you know, what a great town where the sun always rises and the sun always sets. I just love that line. Passamaquoddy, Whack-a-ma-passy, Passama-daddy. So, well, this is where we kind of meet Lampy. Elliot turned his invisibility off, and Lampy sees him. And so you kind of run into this whole situation where Lampy is freaking out because he saw a dragon. And then, that's what's playing right now. Then he goes back into the pub, and everybody's like, what's wrong with you? Lampy's like, I saw a dragon. I saw a great big dragon. And they're like, yeah, sure, right, dude. You're just drunk.
But let's have a song about it.
I forgot about the eggs in the town. Yeah, who walks around with like a crate of like 12 dozen eggs, or like that guy?
Are you trying to egg shame people?
I'm egg shaming that guy. Well, that's a great musical number. The I Saw a Dragon. It gets pretty involved, you know.
Yeah.
It just kind of breaks into this crazy dance scene, and then that's where we meet Helen Reddy for the first time. She like opens up some shutters and says, "Anybody seen my dad?" Of course, she knows
Has
exactly where
anybody
it's
seen
was.
my dad?
And then she's like dancing around. And one thing Helen Reddy said about this movie was she hated all the drinking in it, and you can tell in this scene. You know, she's
Yeah.
walking on top of the bar, kicking the mugs over, and then she ends up getting into the fun. They all start dancing on barrels, and she does this funny little hip shake, and then all the barrels break, and it turns into this pretty crazy sudfest. it's just a great opening musical number where everybody just, I don't know what it is with Disney films and bars. Like everybody in the bar immediately knows how to sing and dance right away. Yeah. Wendy Bird's Golden Book says, "Mend your wicked ways." Yeah. She's got some great lines in that song. Well, back to Pete and Elliot. They kind of are trying to get out of town, right? Because Elliot, or let's see, Pete is mad at Elliot because he wrecked their chance to like find a nice place to hang out in town, because he wrecked it basically. So they're hiding in a cave. Nora sees Pete go into the cave, so here she is, kind of like, "Hey, Pete, are you all by yourself? You know, where's your parents? Where are you staying tonight?" And, you know, Pete's an orphan and he has no place to go. So this is kind of a nice, touching scene where Nora invites him to come up to the lighthouse and have some chowder, and they develop this relationship, right? And then, yeah, then they go up to the lighthouse and they sing that awesome song. It's Not Easy, right? And here's where we learn about Paul. So Nora's fiance, who's been missing for over a year, and turns out Pete is, you know, he feels sad for that, and he's like, "Well, we can get Elliot to help," you know. Skipper Freddy says Nora's, yeah, she's from Child Protective Services, trying to help, you know, this little orphan, you know, feed him some chowder, play along with the whole Elliot, you know, invisible friend game.
Invite him to the home of her drunken father.
Yeah. And spend the night, you know, we don't know. So Pete ends up like showing Elliot, you know, the photo of Paul. So that's kind of like one of the plot points in this film. So Elliot goes off to try to find Paul, who was a presumed shipwrecked somewhere. And then, dun, 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 we've got Dr. Terminus. So about 40 minutes into the film, we're finally introduced to Jim Dale and Red Buttons, Jim Dale, what would you call his job?
A snake oil huckster?
Yeah. Like, he's got all these crazy potions and things that supposedly cure people, and the town folks hate him, but he's there just to make a quick buck. We'll get more into that scene a little later, so I'm just kind of going through the plot. There's Elliot showing Pete the picture of Paul. Another plot point here is you've got the townsfolk upset because ever since Elliot and Pete showed up, there's like no fish in the bay. So you got a couple things going on here. You've got Jim Dale selling snake oil to the town of Passamaquoddy, which you can never pronounce. And then you've got no fish in the bay. And then you've got Paul, right? The missing fiance of Nora. So all that stuff kind of comes together. Meanwhile, Pete goes on with his life with Nora. So he's going to school, and there's this crazy scene at the school, right? Where Elliot rings a bell, and they're like, "Who's ringing the bell? It's like too early for the bell to ring." And then that's when the teacher, you know, thinks Elliot's lying about the dragon. So he does the knuckle cracking, and Elliot gets upset and busts through the wall and then busts through the other wall. At this point, Jim Dale's like, hey, there really is a dragon, because
That's a great
Hoagie had
picture.
seen him with Lampy. Yeah, isn't that great?
It's a
He's like,
fantastic picture. Actually, I love the way that that entire book is animated. I love how they do the Elliot when he's invisible.
yeah, with the dashed lines. Isn't that?
Yep.
That's how we all thought invisibility looked in coloring books when we were kids.
For sure.
I've seen that before, that style of drawing. So here's Jim Dale, where he's like, wow, you know what? Every little piece is kind of goes with this picture, which is like my favorite song in the movie. He wants to buy Elliot from Pete because he can like cut Elliot up into little pieces and sell them. Yeah, he kind of does look like me, Skip. That's why I like him, you know? I wish I was this skinny and could dance as well as him, but... And then, so, yeah, Elliot says, I can't sell Pete. Pete says, I can't sell Elliot because I don't really own him. Besides, it's a brazzle dazzle day and I don't feel like making $5 or what else? What did Jim Dale offer him? Doc Terminus? $5 and a bottle of medicine that could bring on puberty 2 years earlier.
Yeah. Why he didn't jump to that?
Elliot's like, or Pete's like, no thanks. It's a brazzle dazzle day. I'm gonna go ahead and paint this lighthouse with my new family. And oh, don't forget about the Gogans. The Gogans, they're back. They have a bill of sale that proves they own Pete, right? Well, that scene's pretty cool. We might get into that a little later. But here we've got the Gogans making a deal with Doc Terminus, who wants the dragon. They want Pete. And so they kind of devise this plan where they capture Elliot. And so, because they capture Pete, and Hoagie goes to tell Elliot, you know, Doc Terminus' sidekick, that, hey, we got Elliot, or we got Pete.
It's that scene.
Elliot goes running after Pete. Well, he gets captured, but that really pisses off Elliot to the max, right? And he ends up escaping. The Gogans get covered with tar, and then everything just kind of starts to resolve here. You've got Elliot rescuing Pete. You've got the lighthouse with the lamp going out because all of a sudden Paul is back and he needs the light from the lighthouse to work so he doesn't crash into rocks. And there's Elliot with Pete there. Elliot's lighting the wick so Paul can see the lighthouse, and which he does. And then the next day they're all reunited. We'll get in. I don't understand this whole end of the film thing. There's just so much going on, all this resolution. It's a little too much. It's like one of the weakest points in the film for me, but yeah.
I agree.
It's just like,
I would
wow,
agree.
everything's coming together. But one funny thing is, like, how come Paul and Nora don't reunite that night? Why is that scene shown the next day?
Because the lighting is better.
The lighting is better. Yeah, that's probably right. And then, you know, of course, Elliot is off to help the next orphan. And yeah. So that's pretty much the plot. Well, there's the back cover of this album.
You know what I will say about the scene where he goes to tell Elliot that Pete is in danger. I'm sorry, he goes to tell Pete that Elliot's in danger. Reminded me a lot of, do you remember in the Gnome Mobile when Quaxton told Karen Dotrice, like, your grandfather's hurt?
Oh,
that
yeah.
She could leave the room so he could steal the gnomes. It reminded me a lot of that, and I didn't even think about it until I was watching it. I was like, whoa.
That same kind of
evil.
Yeah, that same kind of situation going on there.
For sure.
So that was a quick summary of the plot. And so what we like to do really is just talk about our favorite scenes. And those scenes will kind of include our favorite songs. So, and we'll encourage you guys to pick your favorite scenes or chime in and we'll go ahead and start with Jared. What's your number one favorite scene in Pete's
Well,
Dragon?
you kind of already brought it up, and I think we share this scene. I don't know if it's number one with you. I think it
Hmm.
is the every little pea, every little piece scene.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep.
so good because Jim Dale's fantastic, but I can't take my eyes off of Red Buttons during that scene. He's so funny in it because he is, they're singing this great song with great lyrics, but he is getting just as wrapped up. Like, you think that Red Buttons character is the nicer villain. He's like the Kronk of,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know, and he gets so excited, and I just love the way he's singing it when they turn the page of the book and they discover new things that Elliot can be used for, and he's like gasping. I
Their
love it.
faces.
It makes
Yeah.
me laugh. So
I love that song. I've probably listened to it like 20 times this week. It's just
I'm
such a great song. It's such an upbeat, happy song about something terrible that's happening to Elliot.
so terrible. And can't you just hear that jingle jangle sound?
Oh yeah. Oh, some of those lyrics are just so funny. Like dragon cartilage keeps you thin. Oh, and they turn the page. Oh, dragon fat is for burns. A dragon tear will clear up your skin. Dragon
Watch.
liver can cure a cold. Dragon powder grows hair. With dragon blood, you'll never grow old. All the streets are paved with gold. Yeah.
Watch the profits come rolling in.
That's what makes that song from that this movie for me is like the expressions. Like I just love watching them sing the lyrics, like how they enunciate all these words. It's just awesome. I don't know, really
Agreed.
even know how to explain myself well, but my favorite part of that scene is when they're out on the little stage of their sail wagon, and they
Mm-hmm.
start doing this little dance.
Is
Like,
that when he's like holding his cape up?
yeah, he does this thing where he like twirls his cape around and throws it at Red, and he catches it, and then they do this dance where they just kind of like shuffle their feet and bend their knees and move across the stage. It's just so much fun. Like how tall Jim Dale's a big dude, and the way he
Yeah.
maneuvers like that is just like really, really, really good. So, okay, some favorite scenes from the audience because everybody's just chiming in, laughing, and enjoying this. Like I'm really enjoying this. Hope you're all enjoying it. Uh, Jim's favorite scene is when Elliot crashes in Pete's classroom. Yeah, that's classic. That's interesting
That's
because
such a memorable scene.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
definitely
that's kind of like
memorable, and I love the cutout in the wall. It's very very cartoon.
yeah. This whole school scene is kind of for me. There's a one kind of poignant moment. I think you could say it's like when you know Elliot is kind of repeats disrupting the class because he's lying about Elliot the dragon, and then he gets the knuckle crack, and then Elliot's like he's invisible but he's looking in, and he gets cracked on the knuckles with the ruler, and he says, "Oh, it doesn't hurt."
It's
And
okay,
I'm
Elliot.
thinking like earlier Nora saw that he had a bruise because he got hit by the Gogans, and then it's kind of like it doesn't hurt him because it's kind of sad because he's like been abused as a kid, and it's like how for any other kid in that classroom getting hit on the knuckles that hard they'd be in tears, but Elliot or Pete held it together. It's just kind of like wow. But yeah, great scene though. Elliot runs through and he like drags the bell across and the floor and then outside, and then the bell gets caught up on the steps, and that's where you see Jim Backus, the mayor, walking out of town hall again, and there's no steps. He just falls straight on his face, and he busts his cigar. It's like all in pieces. There's so many funny moments in this. All right, so I'll pick one, and then we'll go back to the audience. Okay, the Passamaquoddy the Passamaquoddy, that song. When we're introduced to Doc Terminus, it's probably like my most favorite scene because they got this guy like on top of the house with the telescope. Like, what's he doing? Is he the Doc Terminus lookout guy? He's like waiting for when he comes back to sell him crappy medicine. And you see him, he's like, "Hey, everybody, how long has he been up there?" Since the last time Doc Terminus came through town. He's like, "Hey, Doc Terminus is back." And then you see him and Hoagie like driving this wagon with sails, and you're like, "What is this thing?" And they come into town, and of course everybody's just like, "Why'd you come back? We hate you." And he's like, "Oh, everybody, the citizens of Passamaquoddy or whatever," he's like, "I can feel your love, a sense of enthusiasm." They're like, "Get out of here, we hate you." And he starts singing this song, and of course all the different ways he mispronounces Passamaquoddy are like hilarious, like Macamapassy, Passamamammy, Passamaquacker, Quackermapassy. And then all the townsfolk voice their displeasure. My favorite one is like this lady, "I took your drug for losing weight and now I'm a blob."
But that just means that there's more of you to love.
"I took your medicine and my gray hair turned pink." And he goes on singing the song. He's like, "But you guys, I have all this medicine from France." And then the whole crowd does like this 180, like, "Ooh, France." And then Red Buttons comes up. Yeah, the guy with the pink hair guy. So funny. Red Buttons. There's Elliot. So Red Buttons comes up on stage, and he's dressed up as this old lady with like who can't hear, and she's got this like tube, It's kind of like
those
Fozzie Bear.
Horns.
Yeah, Fozzie Bear in the Muppets Christmas Carol, right at the end. When he's Fezziwig, he's got this little horn thing he sticks in his. Wow. And he's like, "Eh, eh."
Eh?
And he pours the juice in there, and he's like, "I hear birds singing." And the whole town is like confused because it's like there's no birds singing. "I hear children playing." It's like totally quiet. That is just such a fun song. It's a great song.
It is a good
Jim
song.
Dale just kills it. All right. What else do we got?
I love the "I Swear I Saw a Dragon" scene in the bar. So for me, that is very, like, this is later Disney compared to the earlier stuff. I know that's a stupid sentence to say, and I'm going to try to make it make sense. But, I feel like sometimes the 70s Disney stuff feels disjointed from the 50s and 60s Disney stuff. And this scene in particular is very reminiscent of the 60s musicals that came from Disney. I feel when it becomes this big production number and everybody's dancing and, and all of that. And it's fascinating to see Mickey Rooney in this scene as well, because he's, getting very excited, telling everybody about how he saw this dragon, but at the same time, he's very aware of, oh, there's an extra drink I can drink. And, a drink will slide by and he'll get some on he'll hand it off, but there'll be like foam on his finger and he'll just lick it and then he'll keep on singing. And you can tell a lot from his character during that song. And then, the introduction of Helen Reddy
every chance
as well.
he had, he knocked one back, huh?
He did, yes. And then when the only thing about that song that is really bizarre to me, but I feel like that's how it is kind of with any big musical number from any film, is anybody going to be that excited to waste that much alcohol? Because there was a lot of wasted alcohol
Yeah,
in that number.
it was definitely
Personally,
fun.
I don't like beer, but it was fun.
Yeah,
I really
I'm not
liked
a
it,
big
and
drinker myself.
but I just couldn't imagine anybody in that bar who was drinking being excited that all of it's going to waste.
Well, I mean, I guess if you just had a mug lying around, you can just fill it up for free.
It's true.
Yeah,
Like
lots
they,
of
it's
great
kind of like
comments
the
here.
the jester in Sleeping Beauty. Do you remember the jester in Sleeping Beauty when the two fathers are having their
Oh
song and he
yeah,
keeps?
yeah. All the wine falls into his guitar thing. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
and he's drinking it under the table. Right. Oh, okay. So that Jim says when they make their way into town on that weird looking wagon with the music playing is so funny. Yeah, that because they're playing the song, the Passamaquoddy song, and it's so that scene. I really noticed like when I watched it again today, like when they're
Hmm.
coming in on that wagon, it's like that's the Golden Oak Ranch, right? That's where they filmed that scene. So coming in,
Hmm.
and then they shift to the town where that's obviously the Disney Studios, like the set, the lot back there. You know that whole lot
Yeah.
set areas where they filmed like pretty much every outdoor movie, like all those ones in the '60s, like That Darn Cat, um, Summer Magic, all those outdoor scenes, the Shaggy Dog, and places. That's all that area there that was converted to look like a seaside port in New England. And then you shift back, and they're back on the Golden Oak Ranch, and then they back to the town, and then it's like a green screen with the Golden Oak Ranch in the background. So it just kind of gives you an idea like how they put this movie together. You know, like they probably went out to the Golden Oak Ranch and shot all those shots, and then they had to edit it all together when they shot the scenes at the studio. It's just I kind of notice those things when I watch movies now. But yeah,
Oh yeah, for
that's just such
sure.
a wacky scene when the when Hoagie drops anchor, and then they do the same exact thing that Pete did when they came into town. They knock over the fence, they drag a guy through cement, and then the mayor gets hurt again. Welcome to Passamaquoddy, where nothing unexpected ever happens, except for
But they have all the flash and everything to distract from it, whereas Elliot just goes invisible, and so it seems to
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
draw even more attention.
I mean, dude, the town already hates you, and now you're like ripping it all up again. Oh boy. So let's see, what else do we got? Little girl sticks her tongue, and then he sticks his tongue back in during the Passamaquoddy song. Yeah, I just love those lyrics in that song. Oh boy. Little sip of Wisset was so nice to visit, and Scroggy Neck is lovely to recall. But through all my trips, good Lord, there's one place, one corner, one town on my lips. Why, it's Passamaquoddy, Passamaquoddy, no, Passamamassie, Quadamapoddy,
How
Passamadaddy.
do you know all these lyrics?
I wrote them down and I'm reading them off my computer screen right
Oh,
now. I'm not that good. Okay. MD Snotty gave away one of the fun facts, but I'll go ahead and share it. It says that, okay, so the the lighthouse is not a real lighthouse. It was just a set that they built on Morro Point, or one of the points, or like a rocky point in Morro Bay, California, and they
Point
had
boot.
to
Well,
get,
yeah.
yeah, Morro Bay, like a rocky point in Morro Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And so they had to get special permission from the Coast Guard to actually light the wick in the lighthouse, because you know what lighthouses function as a guide for ships, right? So they had to get special permission from the Coast Guard to do that when they were filming. Jim, what's the name of that song? Which song are we talking about? The Passamaquoddy song? Oh, man. Skipper Freddy said, I recently reviewed America Sings for his podcast. That's the backside of water. Is that what it's called? I can't remember your podcast, Fred. How he was shocked about how much it was about alcohol. Yeah. Disney had a thing for alcohol in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So my last favorite scene, and we'll kind of get into this whole emotional part of this film. And that is, where are my favorite scenes here? Oh, of course, It's Not Easy. All right. It's such a simple song with simple piano accompaniment. I love the piano accompaniment in that song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just so, it's just, the whole song is about caring, right? How Nora cares enough for Pete to let him into his home, into her home. And, it's, they kind of sing about Elliot and what he looks like. He's got what, skin like a crocodile, ears of a cow.
The neck
head,
of
the head,
the head of a camel,
the head
neck of a
of a
crocodile,
camel. Yeah.
and the ears. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really cute. And towards the end of the song, Pete kind of finally finds what he's been looking for with Elliot. They go from place to place as they're getting away from the Gogans, and that's like another friend. And at the end of the song, he's like, I have one friend by my side. Now I have two, him and you. And Nora's like, him and me. It's just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we need to take a break? You go get some.
Yeah, I need to get some tissues. And the way the piano just ends that song, it's just a nice little moment, and it's this film really does pull at your heartstrings a little bit, even at the end when Elliot has to leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Pete is like, bye, Elliot, you gotta leave. And he goes off to find another orphan or kid in trouble. So what's your last favorite scene? Do you have another one?
I think my last favorite scene is one you had mentioned that it's iconic, and I think that's why I like it, is because of the fact that it's iconic, would be the candle on the water scene. It's a scene that doesn't need to be that scene. There doesn't need to even, I don't even think it needs to even have that song, but it was done so well, and it's such a great song that it would definitely be missed if it wasn't in there now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I thought this song was kind of corny the first time I heard it, but the more I watched this movie, like even this time when I watched it, I watched it twice this week, and the music just won me over. Like, I absolutely love the music in this. So good.
Agreed. I like the music. And then the other thing I love about this film is I love the look of Elliot.
Yeah.
I know it has nothing to do with Candle on the Water, but I love the look of Elliot. I've always loved the look of Elliot. He's just so unique and lovable, and green is my favorite color. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Did we get goosebumps, MD Snotty, over? Oh, did I get? Okay, in the chat they're talking about, what do you like more, the original or the remake? Oh, and it's hands down the original. The remake was kind of the story was just, I've seen it, and I can't really remember it too much. So there you go. There's your answer.
So for me, the remake is absolutely fantastic. It is my favorite remake of all of the live action remakes as of late. Starting
Oh,
in
okay. Wow.
starting in 1996 with 101 Dalmatians. Pete's Dragon remake for me was phenomenal. The music was fantastic and it was so well cast and it was visually beautiful. I loved the setting of it. I think they moved it to the Pacific Northwest, and I
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely loved it.
It
No
has some
offense to anybody.
environmental themes, right? The
Yeah,
like
and and
foresting and
honestly, one of the
whatnot.
reasons I think why I liked it, I didn't know if I would like the visual of Elliot, but I enjoyed the visual of Elliot. He seemed like a big giant dog, but even more so than that, it wasn't a complete like rip off of this story. So there for me now there are two versions of Pete's Dragon, and I can absolutely separate them and love them for different
Okay.
reasons. So I think overall I enjoyed this one better, but I don't I don't have bad things to say about the remake.
Okay. I need to watch it again. So yeah, if you enjoyed it that much, and we pretty much like the same kind of thing because we're like best buds who've never met in person. I'd probably give it a shot. Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So um, all right. Yeah. Great scene. Candle on the water. Where were we? I think we're pretty much close to wrapping this up. That
Yeah,
boy,
I
it's
do.
already
Do you want to
an
hear
hour and a
any?
half.
I have some fun facts if you want to hear any of them.
Yeah, fun facts. Okay, what do you got?
So the story was actually, and I 100% agree with this. So the story was actually revised from being in contemporary times to a period setting, revised from the short story. And the only reason I put this down as a fun fact is I absolutely thought of it. There's a lot of live action films in the 70s that were set contemporary in the 70s, and they're very dated, and I love them for it. But
Mm-hmm.
could you imagine if people were wearing bell bottoms in
Oh
Pete's
yeah,
Dragon?
it would.
I This is so much more
Yeah.
timeless to me, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought that they did that it was extremely important. Um, the Elliot the Dragon. Did you know it was actually named after Elliot Gould, the actor Elliot Gould, who was a friend
Oh
of
really?
Malcolm? Yep. And Elliot Gould was in The Last Flight of Noah's Ark for Disney and The Devil and Max Devlin.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I knew about the last fight of Noah's Ark. Yeah, and he was
Yeah,
also in Ocean's 11.
he was, yes. And he was in, if people watched the TV show Friends, he was Monica and uh, Ross's father.
Oh, okay. Wow, I think
uh,
you're convincing a lot of people to watch the remake here. That's cool. You had some. I personally the remakes. I like the Jungle Book. That was one of the I did like.
I enjoyed The Jungle Book too. And I actually
Yeah.
enjoyed Cinderella. That one
Hmm.
shocked me.
I've never seen that one.
But the Beauty and the Beast remake I thought was terrible. The Lion King one I thought was terrible.
Hmm.
Let's see. The
All
story
my
takes
fun
place.
facts we've already talked about.
Oh, well, did
Like
you know the
everybody in the
story takes
chat is so
place?
smart.
They are. They really are,
Yeah,
guys.
I had no
Um,
surprises today.
did you know this was the first Disney film involving animation where none of the nine old men were involved?
Oh, okay. What Don Bluth was the animating director,
Yeah.
and there was, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Kind of the
Uh,
changing of the guard was complete here.
and I thought they did a good job. Like they did a
Hmm.
fine job of changing of the guard when it came to this. Um, the story took place over a period of less than 6 days, which is a little fascinating to me. A lot of stuff
Wow,
happened. There
six
was a very
days. Okay.
productive week. And then the last thing is, so did you ever see the TV show Pushing Daisies?
No.
So have you ever heard of it?
I need you to make a list of all these shows I need to watch.
So there's a TV show, Brian Fuller created it. It's called Pushing Daisies. It was on for a couple seasons, but it was narrated by Jim Dale. And
Oh, okay.
it's an absolutely phenomenal show. And Brian Fuller's actually a fan of Pete's Dragon. And one of the episodes was like a little tribute to Pete's Dragon, where they even sang Candle in the Water in like a
Oh, I heard that before. Okay. Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it's like a murder mystery funny type show, and there was a murder mystery at a lighthouse, and so there was just a big homage to it. So I would recommend, if you haven't seen the show, look it up. Jim Dale's fantastic in it. You don't see him, but his voiceover work is just phenomenal. And I know that somebody had mentioned earlier that Jim Dale also did the read the books on tape for the Harry Potter series as well.
Yeah, Party Pete just said that. Jim asked, within the movie it took 6 days. That's right. Yeah, from the moment we saw Pete to where the movie ended was 6 days. Yeah. And Chris managed a Sunglass Hut kiosk in the mall, and the song Candle in the Water was part of the music rotation that played throughout the mall.
Lucky.
That's awesome. Okay, I walked through Target the other day, and they had a song from Cinderella playing. Like, I had to stop the original Cinderella.
Really?
Yeah. I think it was probably, you know how Target has these little Disney pop-up stores inside them now? I think it was coming from there, but I thought that was cool. Yeah. I was like, wow, not Frozen or Tangled. So I don't have any more fun facts, but I did want to talk about like the worst scenes. So we can't talk about this movie without talking about this song that's actually playing right now. There's room for everyone in this world. While the message is outstanding, right? It's such a great song. The lyrics are awesome. This whole dance number just doesn't work for me. It's just, you've got these kids. It sounds like all these kids, they got them together, and they probably had like 1 hour to practice the dance, and all they're doing is kicking their heels through it. And then what mom lets them climb up on top of a jungle gym that's like, looks like a ship, and there's like kids way up on the mast, the highest point of the mast, right? Like doing this dance where they extend a leg out. Like, what is going on? And the kid, there's like, what is going on with these kids? Like, even the scene where the teacher is like marching them through, she's like, march, march, dun dun dun, doo doo doo, and they do this little hop through the town, like
doo doo. Yes.
Yep. Doo doo
doo doo.
So earlier I said Sean Marshall's not your stereotypical like musical kid. All these other kids are, and it's just very cringy, to use a popular term of the day, which I don't even like to say, but
wouldn't it just be cringe?
It's very cringe. And I don't even like using that word, because I feel like the younger generations use that word cringe to describe things that I love. And so that's what I don't like about. But this scene just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. I guess that's a better phrase, huh? Like, I don't know.
Wow, it really affected you, didn't it?
Well, it just seems fake. But anyways, do you have a scene that you don't like?
Well, okay, so I think a lot of people.
Oh, there's another one that I don't like either. So, but yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and it's not a scene, and it's not that I don't like the actors or I don't like the songs, but I personally don't I personally think that the Gogans could have been eliminated from this film, and it would have been completely fine.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I know that's very
Okay.
controversial, um, but and it might just be because Jim Dale is so good at being a villain that it just outshined the secondary villains, and then at that point it just felt like, okay, there's another villain. Like you had mentioned, like at the very end, all of this stuff is being like, there might be too much stuff coming together in a head, and I think for me personally, and I'm sorry everyone, but and I'm sorry MD
Yeah, you're
Scotty.
not making a lot of friends here. Even Jim liked the scene that I hate, so we're losing viewers.
I
Yeah.
and the thing is, I don't hate any of the stuff. I just personally think that if there is a weak part of this film, for me, I would say too much stuff is happening. So if I had to pick
Yeah.
something to get rid of, it would be the Gogans. That's all I'm saying.
There is a lot to tie up at the end, and the Gogans are part of that, right? Like,
Yes.
how in the world did they get a harpoon for Doc Terminus at the boathouse? They just like wheel in this harpoon. What they spent all their money on Pete, right? $50 plus legals.
Plus legal. Yep.
And they come rolling in with this harpoon to shoot Pete. Oh, and then that okay, we didn't even mention this part, but at the end of the film, right? The Gogans are captured, but Doc and Hoagie are still trying to shoot Elliot with the harpoon, but Doc's got his foot stuck in the rope. So after he fires off this harpoon, which is like a cannon-based thing, right? They light a fuse, and he's like, "Uh-oh." He sees his foot in the rope. The cannon goes off, and then he like is attached to the harpoon. He sails to the roof, and you hear the
Somebody actually commented that.
Huh?
Somebody had commented that earlier.
Yeah, I think Pete did.
With the goofy,
yeah.
with the
Party
goofy.
Pete did the goofy yell. That's so random, but it's so awesome. I laughed out loud, and it was like past midnight, and I woke up my son. I think, at least gosh. I think I did. But anyways, the Gogans, well, you know, they kind of set the tone of the picture for me. Like how can anybody hate Pete? Well, these guys do. And some of the lyrics for that song they sing.
Mm-hmm. No, I like the songs.
Okay, never mind.
I like the songs.
So they're like, tie him to the railroad tracks, saw him in half, and eat him for dessert. Roast him gently so the flames don't hurt. And then, like, I'm with Jim. Bill of Sale. It's Bill of Sale, hilarious so when they're singing that song. Like, they get what Elliot is like. He knocks over their boat, and they're like flying through the. There's a. You're killing me with the Hallmark ornament flying through. Hey guys, I knocked the Gogans. I'll translate that. That's like, I love the Gogans when they're singing Bill of Sale and they're like flying through the air, like, we got a bill of sale, right? And they splash into the water and they don't finish that line.
Yes, well, but then she pops up at the end. Shelley Winter's like, right here.
Right here.
I like Bill of Sale. Yeah, I like Bill of Sale better than.
Yeah. And this is how we'll end the show today. Okay. Like, my favorite thing about this movie, like, here's Bill Sale, is all the villain songs, which I already kind of mentioned, but the lyrics are so fun. They're so upbeat. It's just like a juxtaposition of like what the lyrics say and what they want to do to Pete and Elliot. But it's like the songs are so upbeat and happy.
Well, I think they kind of have to, because really the stuff that they say are just awful.
Yeah. Like cutting Elliot up into little pieces. Like, every little piece is my, bar none. That one and Passamaquakka. That's 1 and 2 for me in this movie. Just, I don't know. Sometimes I go back and forth. Passamaquoddy might be my favorite And sometimes every little piece is my favorite. But
Mhm.
this movie's got great villains. It's got great characters, memorable music. It's got Mickey Rooney, who's drunk and throughout the film. And one of my other favorite Mickey Rooney moments is when him and Hoagie are down in the cave, and
Yes.
they find Elliot down there, and they're like, Elliot's got his arm on Hoagie, and they're like, he's like,
Shh.
shh, wait, he's got me. And they start describing what the monster looks like, and Elliot doesn't realize they're talking about him, so he gets scared, and then he sees his shadow, and they're all scared, and then Mickey Rooney is like, or Lampy's like, wait, we got to make him happy. We got to make him like us. So smile. He's like, I'm scared and I'm smiling. But he's like, why don't you give him a drink of your, like, give him a belt. He says, yep. Give him a belt of your flask, right? So Elliot drinks all the thing. And then before Hoagie puts it back in his vest pocket, Lampy's like, hey, give me a swig of that. He takes a quick swig, and the way he like moves his tongue around his mouth, it's just funny. And then of course Hoagie, after he sees him, goes back to Doc and Chris. Just like one of the funniest moments in this film is like, yeah. L, draw, and Doc's like, what on earth is an L, draw. I like you better when you're sober.
Jim Dale is so good. He's
Yeah.
so good.
Jim Dale is like, he's my favorite.
I'm gonna rewatch you said Hot Lead and Cold Feet, right?
Yeah.
Or No Deposit.
I might watch that this weekend just because
Yeah.
I need to get on a Jim Dale kick. Like when he meets Lampy, Lampy's like, you're a doc, aren't you? He's like, yeah, I got my degree from the Gleinen Einen Peitzen in Vienna. And then he tells a story about why they don't have horses for their sail wagon is because they had a malpractice suit and lost the horses.
I wonder how much was written for him. I wonder if he helped write that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I probably he did. So
this came out before Hot Lead Cold Feet, right? Like this was his first Disney thing. Am I right? Am I wrong?
I think it is his first.
If so, he just hit it out of the park.
Yeah, totally did.
So good.
So, all right. Well, do you got anything else? I could probably just quote lyrics from Passamaquoddy all day, right? Such creative lyrics. I wiped out in Patago on the banks of buttermilk. Flu is under firm control in powder hole. Terminus potions, tablets, and lotions. Major news in modern science. Step up now and join my clients. Spin a day in Buzzards Bay. They couldn't keep me there. Even turned away from Kingdom Hall. They probably threw you out. The crowd. My hair was gray, and thanks to you, it turned into pink. But that color, it's so becoming.
Well, and little did he know, it's the same color as Elliot's hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally is. Elliot. There he is. Pink hair.
See, they should have shown the pink-haired guy and Elliot at the end when everything was resolved.
Like arms around each other.
Arms around each other.
Time to red buttons this up. Yeah, everybody's okay. Well, we appreciate all the activity. This was one of the most liveliest chats ever.
I love it.
And thanks for all your participation, making us laugh. It was tough to get through this because we were bouncing around because you guys had so much to say. But we'll be back next month. I don't know what we're doing next month. I was thinking maybe Happiest Millionaire, but since you watch that on New Year's Day every year, we might do that in January.
Yeah, I do that every New Year's Day.
I don't know. I don't know what we got on the docket. Jared will pick something, and we'll dish on it and laugh for an hour and a half. And but thanks everybody for joining us for Pete's Dragon, one of my
I
favorite
appreciate
movies.
it,
I love it.
everybody.
Yeah, I love it
I
even more
really
now.
do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just such a great movie. So funny. Jim Dale, the villains, the songs, Elliot, Pete. Even though Pete's laughing when they capture the Gogans, it's so fake. You know, he's standing outside the boathouse with Elliot, and they're Elliot's rolling on the ground laughing, and the way Sean Marshall laughs there is just so like, but and then the whole ending, the whole ending is just so like they had to check all the boxes in 5 minutes, and they did it. And oh, of course, Helen Reddy. Can't forget Nora. Any closing thoughts?
No, I'm just like this actually was really like they're all fun, but this one was really fun.
Yeah,
And
totally fun.
I just had a good time. I love the participation from everyone. So thank you so much.
Okay, MB Snotty, we're closing this up so that you can go watch the new the remake of Pete's Dragon. Okay. All right. All right, everybody. Thanks. And we'll see you guys in a few weeks with another film.
All right.
Maybe
Bye,
Hot Lead
everyone.
Cold Feet. Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. Bye, Jared.
Bye.